We are going to work on the Bloom Shelf Sitter. I apologize for the lighting. It is nighttime and the overhead lights cast a terrible shadow, but we're gonna get through this. So if you're following along with the directions, I didn't want this tutorial to be hours long, so I went ahead and pre-painted some of my pieces. So the first color I went through was yellow. I painted this curly O and the bird beaks. Then I set the O aside because I'm not quite finished with it. And the next color I went to was blue, which was both birds and then the wings. And I'm also not finished with those because I'm gonna do some shading with them. The third color was white. So this was the backer block for the tulip in the pot. And then this O and this B. So once you finish painting, I did 2 coats on every piece. Once you finish painting you're gonna take the same wedge and I'm going to bounce up and down several times to remove most of that paint. This is just a scrap of cardboard from like an Amazon box. If your kit came in a box, you can rip that apart to use that or just find a shipping box somewhere. And then I'm going to just go ahead and shade the top of this O. I'm very, very lightly bouncing just to give it a little bit of depth. Sorry, I'm gonna move. And then I'm gonna go ahead and shade the bottom part as well. Okay, so it just gives it a little bit of change in color. And then I'm gonna go ahead and also shade the top of these wings. It is easier if you have, I just use my sharp tweezers, or you can use these blue tweezers if you have them. I'm just gonna do a little bit of white along that shoulder bone. Okay, now, sorry, I'm moving everything out of the way. Now you're gonna keep that wedge, and let's take, I'm getting a clean piece of cardboard. I'm gonna take the lightest pink color. This is the pink that is barely a shade of pink. So you have the lightest pink, then you have a medium pink that's like a blush color, and a super bright one. Take the lightest one and just take a corner or the top half of that wedge and put pink on that. And then we're going to rainbow our wedge out several times until we see this blending happening. And then I'm gonna go ahead and shade the top and bottom half of the B. So I focus on the top corner and I slowly move my way down. Because of the shadows, I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see it because it's a really subtle pink, but I will lift it up as soon as I'm done so you can tell the difference. Hopefully you can see it. I tried to get to this kit a little bit earlier, but my day got away from me. And I'm just gonna keep doing this rainbow motion, just add on and then you repeat that motion to blend it. Later on, we're gonna blend some more high contrast colors and you're gonna see how beautifully they blend by doing this motion. So again, I don't know if you can tell on the video, it's a subtle shift in color, but it's really pretty. Okay. Now I'm actually gonna go back because that blush is, or that pink is so light, and I'm gonna go ahead and quote unquote clean my wedge, AKA I'm gonna put white. I'm gonna dip it back in the white. So basically yours is in a pot. So you just kind of scoop a little bit and then bounce off to the side. And then you're gonna get your mint color. Open up that pot, and where my light pink was, I'm going to dip it into that mint, just like that. And on a clean end of your cardboard, you're going to go ahead and rainbow it out until it starts to blend. So as you can see, I rainbow and then slowly move my way down. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and very lightly bounce onto the corner of this tulip backer. I usually do my corners first because I feel like they would have the darker color, so it deposits most of the paint into that corner. And then I go along the top and sides just to give it a little shading. Okay, and then we are done with those pieces. So the next color I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the mint color, and I'm gonna paint this bee backer, the stem portion of the tulip, and this M. I'm gonna do that off camera, and we'll come back as soon as we're ready to shade it. Once you're finished with the mint color, you're gonna get the dark sage color. I wasn't sure what to call this color. It's like a bluish, grayish green. But you're gonna take your mint wedge and same as last time, dip just one part of it into that sage color, and then rainbow back and forth until you see that really pretty blending happening. And I'm gonna start with the M. I'm gonna ombre the bottom and the top. So I'm just gonna do that rainbow motion back and forth. Until I'm happy with that amount of blending. And I'm gonna do it on the bottom as well. Need a little bit more. It's just a lot of this motion. And the more and more you go over it, the more blended it's going to look. Okay, so that is my M. Set that aside. We're gonna do the same thing for the bottom of this stem. I'm just going to do that rainbow motion and slowly move my way up as it blends in. So it just kind of looks like that. It's gonna get lighter as it goes up. And then I'm gonna load it one more time, or probably a couple more times to be honest. And I'm gonna shade the sides of this bee block, just like I did with the tulip block. So I'm gonna start in the corners. So this isn't so much a like an ombre as it is more of like an actual shading. Now, if you want to spend the time to try to get it to blend perfectly well, then you can absolutely do that. I just kept it more of an outline. I'm gonna put some more of that mint onto the bottom because I feel like it was getting kind of a harsher line there, and I want to blend it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Actually, I'm not quite finished with this. I'm putting this over because I am going to polka dot it once we get to that color. The next color we're going to do is the dark sage. So I'm going to paint this block and the pot. And we're not gonna shade those except for black, so we'll do that at the end. So then I will do the lightest pink color, which is going to be the flower, both butterfly wings, and the M block. After I do that off camera, we'll come back when it's time to shade those. Okay, I painted the tulip pot, that darker sage color, and I'm gonna set that aside because it's completely done. And then this O backer, and I'm going to go ahead and shade that black once we get to that. So I'm gonna set that over to the side. And then the lightest pink color was the back of the M, this flower, and the two butterflies. So as you noticed here, I painted the whole entire flower. That's because when I do the middle, I'm going to paint over it. So it's fine if you go ahead and paint all of it blush. With the butterfly, you have a couple different options. If you're going to use your mini paintbrush to paint the body, you can paint the whole thing pink without worrying about leaving it blank. I am going to color my body in with a fine tip Sharpie. I just find that it's a lot easier than controlling that mini paintbrush. You can use a fine tip Crayola marker, you can use a paint pen. I've even used a dry erase marker and it has worked great. So if you're planning on using a marker, you're gonna wanna make sure that you take your wedge and you go along the body, because the marker, it's harder to cover paint and it goes on the wood really well. So just an FYI. Okay, once you're done with that blush, you're gonna open up your pot with the medium, or the lightest pink, I should say, with that medium pink, which is like more of a blush color. And I'm going to, same thing, dip it into that blush and then rainbow until it's blended. And then I am going to go along the edge of my butterfly wings. And I'm gonna come down most of the way, because I'm actually also going to do the tips in the brightest pink. So I don't know if you see because of the light, but just near the body is the super light pink. And then it goes to that blush color. And then let's do it with this butterfly, same process, rainbowing down. I wish the lighting was better, and I would save it for tomorrow. But number one, I want to get the tutorials up, but two, I'm going to be gone all day, and I never know when someone will be looking for these, so I figure it's better than nothing. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but it's just that lightest color near the body, and then it goes out to the blush. And then I'm going to do the blush to shade this block. And then I'm not done with this quite yet. I'm actually going to get the brightest pink and dip that where the blush color was, and then go ahead and rainbow that out. I need to get another cardboard. And then I'm just gonna focus on the butterfly tips. Oh, whoopsie. Now I'm gonna have to sand. Oh no. Don't worry, I'll fix it. Just not happy about it. I should have got the cardboard to begin with. But I've said multiple times, I am a messy crafter. Okay, I stuck my finger in the paint and transferred it over. Okay, there we go. Okay. Don't do what I do. I have to go back and fix it. Okay, there's that butterfly and this one after I sand his body. Now, I am going to paint this piece and the tulip, the blush color. First, I am going to polka dot this. I'm going to show you how I do random yet nicely planned out polka dots. So you can use the back of your mini paintbrush, or if you have a dotting tool, you can use that as well. They both work pretty much the same. So you're going to dip into that medium pink color, and I'm going to dot on each corner. Make sure that you leave your hand somewhat raised so that you don't smear your paint everywhere. Then I'm going to go into the middle, and then I'm going to do the middle here, which is probably about there, and across, and in the middle of these two, and the middle of these two. And then I'm going to go down and just go across each of those dots. And then you're basically going to look at your dots as 4 and go right into the middle of each one. And it doesn't need to be exact. And that will make it look like it's scattered yet uniform. So now that piece is done. I got so distracted by my little butterfly fiasco that I forgot. So keep that wedge, dip it into that bright pink, rainbow that out, because we are going to shade the edges of our flower. I totally almost forgot. Oh, mine is drying out a little bit. I spent too much time trying to fix my butterfly, and my wedge started to dry out. There we go. That's better. So if all else fails, just reload your wedge with your original color and just keep that rainbow motion up. There we go. I'm going to set this aside so that we can paint the middle at the end. Here's how the butterflies turned out. So, okay, now I am going to go ahead and paint these two blush. Okay, when you've got your two blush pieces finished, you're going to dip a piece of that into that bright pink and go ahead and rainbow that out. And I'm going to shade around the edges. Let's use our tweezers of that tulip. I'm gonna dip again because I want it to have a little bit more contrast for me. It's a really pretty blend, but I want it to be bolder, I guess. There we go. That's better. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and go around the edges of this block. Okay, and then, don't worry, this is just wet. It will dry perfectly flat. Once this is dry, I'm gonna also polka dot this, but we are going to move on to our black shading while that is drying. So you're not, this doesn't get too long. Okay, black is a super high contrast color. It will put down a lot of pigment. So when you dip into your black paint, I am going to dab onto my cardboard a lot to get most of that paint off. And then I'm just going to very, very lightly shade around these corners. And then I'm just gonna kind of wipe. Oh, I actually need more. That usually doesn't happen. Go ahead and wipe along the edges. Just so it has a little bit of shading. I hope you can see that. Staying light. And then I'm gonna go ahead and shade my tail feathers and go up into his cute little head and his little belly. And same with this guy. Okay, and then I'm going to do the bottom of the wing over into the feathers, kind of. Okay, and I'm going to take my dotting tool, which you can use your, my gosh, I am so tired and this is the messiest. Always wash your hands so you don't mess up like I am 800 times. If I can do it, you can do it too. And don't worry, this is a set for me, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, you're going to use the back of your mini paintbrush or your dotting tool and dab into the black paint and just dot his eye. Okay, I'm going to let everything dry. This is still a little wet. And then I'm gonna polka dot this. Oh, I can show you how to dot the middle of your flower. Okay, so you have a couple options. I'm gonna show you this one just because I don't have a mini paintbrush right near me. So the fastest way is probably to get your mini paintbrush and just really carefully go around this circle. Another option is to get the back of your mini paintbrush and place a couple globs right into the middle. And then slowly circle outwards until you reach that edge. This takes a little bit longer just because it is such a big area, but it is an option if you are not comfortable painting with your little brush. I would have done that if I had one close to me. Okay. Now I'm gonna polka dot this background, and I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the pink. I'm gonna start with the 4 corners. Again, making sure I keep my arm up so I don't smear. And then go in the middle, here, and here. And then, yeah, just go into the middle here. And that is it. Okay, I'm gonna let all of these dry and then we'll come back when it's time to put them together. Once everything is dry, it's time to put the finishing, or put them all together and put the finishing touches on. To do your highlights and your dots, you're gonna want either a paint marker, you can use the end of your mini paintbrush, that will work too. And then my dotting tool, same thing, end of your paintbrush. I recommend peeling off one piece at a time. I pre-peeled everything just so you don't have to watch me peel them. However, based on how my crafting is going tonight, I probably shouldn't, because there's probably gonna be a disaster. So I do not recommend peeling them all. It's too easy to lose a piece or stick it on something. Anyways, the part that has the stands etched is the back. So I am going to press everything down on this side. So let's start with our bee backer. And I'm just going to make sure that the ends match up on the bottom, the sides, and the top before I press down. You wanna make sure that you get it even so that you don't start right off on a crooked trajectory. And then we're gonna press down our bee, making sure that the edge follows. Sorry, I got a low battery alert on my phone. I want to make sure it was still recording. And then I'm going to take my butterfly and I'm going to place it right here. And I'm going to get my paint marker and I'm just going to add some stripes to its wings. And then let's get our tulip pot. Make sure it lines up with the bottom and with the top and with this edge. Press down. And then the pot should match the bottom and the sides. And then the tulip goes right into the middle. You could add polka dots to this pot and that would be super cute. But we're also going to be splattering it, which adds a bunch because I usually focus pretty heavy on the darker colors. Okay. And then I'm also going to add a stripe here and I usually add my detail marks at the very end, but I'm trying to give that piece a little bit of time to dry. Let's go like this. Okay, this piece is next. Going to line up with the bottom and the top of this. Make sure your pieces are completely dry. I'm 99% sure mine is, but I am going a little bit quick tonight. And then we'll put this O. I'm laying it up so I make sure that the edge is covered. You can hear how tired my voice is. I'm so sorry for this tutorial for everybody who's watching this. And then we'll put our bird here. I try to have a little more energy and pep, but it has been a really, really long week. And I am more than ready for bed. Okay, and then let's go with, I'm figuring out which side I want up. This one side is slightly lower. I think I'm gonna do the slightly lower on the bottom. Okay, make sure it matches up with all of the sides. Oops. Oh my goodness, it keeps getting stuck onto my finger. Okay. And then our flower. I should make, it's way past New Year's resolution time, but I should make a New Year's resolution to only do these videos when I'm feeling well rested. Okay. I'm not gonna press the middle because it's not 1000% dry yet. And then let's go with the M. Perfect. Put my butterfly right here. It was good, and my bird. Put him down a little bit. Okay. Mark my butterfly wings. Let's do a little bit there, and then let's do I'll do a few more dots. And then we are going to splatter. Oh, first I'm gonna let this dry because I'm gonna show you how to do the stand. When your piece is dry, you are going to get your stand backers. And when you put them with the etching, you want the bottom to match up, because if it touches the very bottom, it's not gonna lean back a little bit. So you want it slightly higher than that bottom so that it can lean backwards. And then what you'll do is you will put these in there, slide them right in, and those are the stands. But I'm not gonna do that right now because we've got a splatter. Oh, that came off from my tablecloth. It wasn't quite dry. That's okay. So you're gonna get your leftover white paint, and best kind of splatter is if you add 1 to 2 drops of water into your white paint, and then I just stir it around with the end of my paintbrush. You don't want it completely watery, otherwise it's just gonna make a huge mess. So if you're not super confident with watering down your paint, I don't know if you can tell the consistency is definitely, it's a little bit thinner. You can always just dampen the bristles of your brush and that will help as well. So I'm going to dip just the ends into this paint, and then I always start flicking off the side just so that most of the big globs don't land on my piece. And I start higher and move closer as the paint starts to evaporate. And you just keep up this motion for the whole sign. And this is completely optional. I mean, all of the pieces are. Let's say you didn't want to add any of the shading or any of the design, it's still going to be a super cute piece. So never feel like you have to do this. And that's it. As it dries, it's gonna get lighter. It always looks a lot harsher as you are splattering, and then it's gonna get lighter. But I always recommend going light at first and building up, because it's so much easier to add paint than it is to take it away. If you have any questions on this, or if you couldn't see some of the shading due to the poor light, then I uploaded all of the videos this month go with the same color scheme, so you could watch any of them and see like a clearer view of how to shade. But if that doesn't help answer your question, please reach out and I am more than happy to help.